Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of TFT Hyperroll from Mission for Tuition. It's called Mission for Tuition because we are trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition. He has to go to a ridiculously expensive special school. And we don't take donations or anything like that. It's just about the ads. So help this video get out to more people by liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all of the good stuff. And with that said, let's get started. Now, this video was kind of specifically requested a couple of times. People wanted me to try and do this build. So I went into it with a plan, which is why I grabbed a brand with a needlessly large rod off the carousel. And then when I saw the VIP brand, I decided, yeah, this was probably the direction I was going to go. And that is to try and make a gold VIP brand with the Debonair and just turn him into some force of fundamental evil. Now, I want to start off by saying usual disclaimers on stuff like this. I don't recommend forcing stuff. In this case, I was able to get a Debonair emblem. Now, to be honest, if I was playing this to try and climb instead of to try and make a video, I probably would have grabbed the Syndicate crest, since I had a Caitlyn and I had a Darius and I could have easily gone into Syndicate Sniper, but I wanted to try to do this and it gave me the opportunity, so I took it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Debonair emblem onto Zeri so that we're starting with the Debonair trait and now a 2-star brand. I go ahead and put the Hextech Gunblade onto Brand because he does damage over time, so it's going to be a little bit of healing over time instead of just a flat heal. Also, I'm going to be increasing this with Arcanist, and that's because I'm going to keep Brand as my VIP throughout this game. One of the things with the Debonair trait is that you can change which champion you want to be your VIP by selling your VIP and then hoping you get a better one. It's very reminiscent of the Fates build. And that's something I don't really personally like to do. I like to build the team from the ground up. And so in this case, I'm just going to stick with Brand and try to make him as strong as possible and then build the team around him. So that's why there's now a Vex on the board. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Sparring Glove here because I'm thinking about Brand as the massive damage dealer, so I'm thinking Infinity Edge and Jeweled Gauntlet along with the Hextech will be a massive amount of damage that he can turn out. I'm also picking up any Debonair I can because since I have the emblem, might as well try to get to 7. Another minor issue I have with using the Debonair trait is that it doesn't have a tank until you get Leona, who's a 3 cost, so you often have matches like this where your backline gets exposed very quickly. Luckily for me, Lucian didn't want to be around anymore and dashed right into Zeri's plans so he could off himself. It's time for the second augment, and it was an interesting option because I had Jeweled Lotus, which will allow your magic to critically strike, which means you don't necessarily need a Jeweled Gauntlet anymore if you want your spellcaster to critically strike. I am also now 1 brand away from gold, so I go ahead and just put the Infinity Edge on Brand and realize I don't need a Jeweled Gauntlet anymore. His spells are going to crit every time thanks to the augment, so I can think mana item for Brand's 3rd item. Now, I want to be honest with you. I've gotten very lucky in this match in terms of getting the champions, getting the augments, and getting the right items. I have tried to do this a few times, and every other time I've tried to force it, it hasn't worked out this well. This is one of those rare cases where I seem to be getting champions, augments, and items exactly as I want them. And just like that, I get a 2-star Vex and Leona, which will allow me to now go up to the 5 Debonair for the next level of buff, and then with one more roll, the gold brand. Let's bask in his burning goodness for a moment. So I got a needlessly large rod and a tier. out of the NPC round. I put the tier right onto Brand and debated with going straight to the Archangel staff so he would just become more powerful. But I want to hold out and see if maybe I can get another tier for a blue buff or a sword for a Spear of Sojin so that he can just cast more often. But he's still doing really well right now. As you can see, team after team is just getting decimated by the sheer power that Brand is laying down. Check out the damage chart at the end of this as he's dominating the team. So this is the last NPC round where I can get pieces and parts, so I'm kind of hoping for a tier or a sword so that I can do a mana producing item, but I don't get it. But then I get Blue Battery, which will take the place of the Spear of Sojin or blue buff that I need. I debated with Battle Mage because I could have put everyone up front, but you know what? He's better back here, and now I can start heading to the 7 Debonairs and just as many Arcanists as I can get on the board. And let's hyperdrive this because the result's almost not in doubt at this point. Brand is just able to nearly one-shot anything that gets in his way. The Debonair buff is just really strong at 5, and I now have a path to 7 since I've been able to pick up a Zeri as well. So it's time to just finish this off. We can get rid of the Zera, put in Zeri, put in Draven, turn Vex into a Debonair, and we now have 7 Debonair, 2 Arcanists, and 2 spots left, which means we'll be able to get to 7 Debonair and 4 Arcanists by the time this game is over. And just when you think you have it all wrapped up, along comes the obligatory Yordle team with a Dragon's Claw, which is pretty counter to what I'm doing. But Brand just doesn't stop. The amount of damage and healing that he is doing is absolutely uncanny and able to take what I thought was a loss into a win. And look at that damage. Look at it. Now, after the next NPC, Gary says, you want another Debonair emblem? You can have 8 if you want. I don't really need that, and I was debating with getting the Scholar emblem so that my champions could gain back mana faster, but then I remembered I've got the Blue Battery. I don't need that. But I could use the Ionic Spark and put that on Vex and make her even tankier than she already is. Throw the Locket onto Leona so that they have an initial shield. I just move them back a bit so they're playing a bit more of a protector to Brand, but at this point it's really all over but the crying. I mean, remember, I've talked about needing 2 out of 3 of the augments, items, or champions. Well, this is the direct 3 out of 3. It's that once or twice a season game where everything goes exactly the way you want it to, and you're in line to pull down an absolutely perfect match. I truly can't think of a defense to this. The Yordle team didn't do it. This team isn't going to do it. You can see Brand just leveling them. And anything Brand isn't leveling, Zeri's pretty close behind taking out. So at this moment, I think it's pretty early in the season, but I feel like I'm on my way to my perfect game, right into the top 4, and able to put out Ahri to get that 4th Arcanist, so we're getting even more power out of Brand. And I will save you the NPC round. We get a Chalice of Power to Zeke's Herald, which I just stick next to Brand because he could use some more AP and a little extra attack speed. Why not? And of course, the Yordle Scrap team made it into the top 4 because that's what Yordle Scraps do. But is it gonna matter against this brand of fundamental evil throwing out these spells? Jinx can drop down right next to him. He's just gonna pop her out. Corky's in the back trying to put out damage, but no, that's not gonna matter either. Brand is just gonna lead the damage charts. And then As if we even needed it, here's a 2-star Zeri. And it's time to win this game. But let's look carefully now at the final team. That's a syndicated sniper team with a gold Ashe and a Zeri. And it is the build that can beat me. And now it's time to play outmaneuver. We want to check out their board and see what they're doing and see that they move their Silco over. So I want to get away from that and make sure that I can get that Ashe down as quickly as possible, because she is going to be the problem. I know she's in the far corner, and I'm hoping my Zeri can shoot through her and take everything out. But as I've talked about in other videos, Syndicate Sniper is really strong, and they have a 3-star Ashe with a Deathblade, Infinity Edge, and Last Whisperer, and they are able to do a ton of damage to my team, and it comes down to their Ashe versus my Zeri, and their Ashe wins. In this round, they were able to get my brand out of the fight really quick, and I went from a perfect game to wondering if I'm going to be able to win it all. The key here is trying to counter their position and make sure my brand stays up long enough to matter. Now I moved my front line over simply because I do not want Ashe targeting Brand early, and I also moved Talon so that he's going to jump near Ashe, hoping he'll draw her fire. He ends up targeting onto Zeri, but he is acting as a bit of a buffer. This keeps Brand alive a little bit longer, and he's able to take out a lot more of their team than he did the last time. But still, Ashe gets through him, and it's Ashe versus Zeri again, only this time my Zeri has enough power to make it through. And I let them know that they scared me because I thought I had a perfect game going until I ran into a build I knew was powerful. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.